Welcome in the Flame Central podcast, powered by Alcova Mortgage.
Couldn't have said it better.
Boys are back together again.
Boys are back in town.
Joe is back from his excursion out west.
Yes, hit the great state of Montana, baby.
Emily is on one of the islands somewhere.
She's island touring right now.
It had been like 2 weeks since she had.
She's
been out of the country,
last 2
so
weeks have been horrible.
I know.
She's
whined
had to
and
work.
complained, and she's already preemptively complaining about the snow that's coming in, and she's not even back here yet. So I'm already hearing from her about that.
I think she's on the wonderful island of St. Lucia.
Yes, that's right.
Yes, that's the one that has the big peak on it.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's got a big mountain peak on it, and you can go hiking.
Well, I'm happy for her.
Don't get bit by a rattlesnake or python or something like that.
Well, we're happy for her.
Are you really?
Nah, I don't know. I don't really affect me one way or the other. But, Joe, before we get into, first off, a lot to cover today. We're going to break down the Liberty Football 2025 schedule that was released this past week.
Fresh off the press.
We're going to talk about that. A lot of good notes to get into, tidbits, if you will, on this schedule. And then we'll go into some hoops. Men's basketball, a couple of big wins here this weekend at home. Women's basketball, Dot Richardson, quickly. We'll get to the softball and their hot start. So that's good to get into. But before we do all that, Joe, just go ahead. I know you want to say something about the Super Bowl. Just go. I know I'm here, Joe. Listen, a lesser man wouldn't have come in this morning, Joe. But I'm here. I came in after that woodshed game, beat down, if you will. Just let me have it.
You know who was it? It was Mark Andrews for the Ravens.
Yeah.
Who had the fumble, dropped the pass to send it in overtime, right? That game. And you know what happened with him after the game was over? He wouldn't meet with the press.
Right.
He wouldn't do it.
Right.
It was just too heavy on him, too hard on him. Does Matt Warner show up the next day?
Absolutely.
Does he face the cameras?
Take my medicine.
He takes his medicine. He's a grown man. He handles things.
This is what professionals do.
This
is what they do.
But I'll tell you what, I'll tell you this much. It was when they went up, I know what it was, when they were down 17-0, whatever it was. They're like, okay, they get a score, put a drive together for half the ball on their own 8-yard line. They throw the interception to the middle linebacker, and then they hit the drive route for the touchdown. I was like, this thing's over. And then I looked over at my son, Ben. I said, I'm texting Warner right now. And he looked at me, he said, don't do it.
Thank you, Ben.
He said, don't do it.
Thank you, Ben.
He said, now, if this was UNC or one of your other buddies against Liberty, when they're down bad, would you like that?
Yeah, thank you.
I was like,
that's
a fair,
reasonable
that's
take.
a reasonable
Not all
take.
my friends were that reasonable. I always put my phone on like sleep mode during games. And I still get the people that drop in the like dynamite analysis. They'll just be like, boy, they were really struggling.
Well, thanks for letting me
I get
know.
some stuff like that. Yeah, I get that kind of thing. So thank you, Joe. Thank you for tough night. It was
a tough night for
the Warner
Chiefs.
household.
You know what? And the thing is with me is I have this. My son Reese took a lot. He was taking a lot of heat at the house. He was in all red. He had the red sweatpants on with the red jersey on. And so he was taking a little bit of heat for it. But you know, the thing with the Eagles is, which I have a hard time, their fans are unbearable.
Absolutely.
I mean, like they're really like,
and they take pride in that. Really.
They do take pride in it, and they're tough to root for. But I will say this: I'm a big Jalen Hurts fan. Yeah, you gotta like that guy.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that guy's a solid Christian dude who's rock solid. So congratulations to Jalen.
Last thing on this, I just kept thinking all throughout that game of something that you've said year after year.
I know exactly what you're gonna say.
And it is this. Football and defense especially comes down to this. Can you create pressure without having to bring extra men, without having to blitz?
Four-man rush.
And Philadelphia did not blitz one time in that ballgame.
I mean, they were caving in the offensive line and with a four-man pressure. And it was like they sacked back-to-back moments. They said back-to-back. And when you do that, when you can get to the quarterback with four men, what you're doing is when a quarterback drops back to pass and there's 7 guys in coverage, right? It takes time to process where you're going to go with the football. And so if you don't have the protection in order to hold up to process that time to process and it collapses fast, it's over, right? When you start bringing that 5th, 6th guy along, you've now eliminated spots on the field that you know are open. So your decision-making, yes, you can get more pressure, but the quarterback's decision-making speeds up like that. He knows when he sees him coming, he knows where he's going with the ball. dude, rushing forward and getting pressure, it's ball game. It's game over. And that's what every great football team is able to do.
Yep. No, that was it. That was the game. That sums it up. All right, well.
Let's move on.
Next Can we
season.
move on?
I'd
like to move on. All right, let's move on to Liberty football. They released their schedule for 2025. We've been waiting and waiting. We finally got it. Let's go through this real fast because I want to get your take on kind of what you see here in this schedule. And I'll throw up a graphic for those of you watching on YouTube. By the way, real quick, before we get into this, new Flame Central podcast mugs being printed as we speak. Here's what I want to do. I want to do a little giveaway. I want to get some feedback from people.
You know how much I love giveaways.
I know you do.
Big giveaway.
So what I want, flamecentral@liberty.edu. That's our mailbag. That's our email address. I want you to reach out, flamecentral@liberty.edu. We want to know how you consume the show. Is it you listen on Spotify? Is it you watch on YouTube? Is it you listen on Apple Podcasts? Yeah. All you have to do, just email flamecentral@liberty.edu. Let us know how you take in the show, and everyone that does that will be entered into a drawing, and we'll send out 5 mugs or something.
We'll send a whole pile of mugs.
We'll pull your name, we'll send out, and I can tell you this, these new mugs, when we unveil these babies, you're going to be blown away. You're going to be blown away. That was the actual one bit of work Emily did before she left on vacation, was designing that.
Designed by Emily.
Yeah, designed by Emily. So send us that, flamecentral@liberty.edu. Tell us how you take it.
You know what you do with that mug?
What's that?
You have a hot cup of Java.
You could.
You have a hot cup of Java, and then you know what some people do with that mug? I had a buddy of mine text me a picture. He puts a little ice cream in there.
Oh, that's not bad.
You just throw a little ice cream in the mug, you sit down, you put your favorite ball game on it, and you just enjoy it. There's all kinds of little hot chocolate, little soup.
You put soup in there.
Hot soup.
A little broth.
Broth. I mean, it's endless, the possibility.
All right, let's get into the schedule. Liberty starts off the season August 30th, home against Maine, the Black Bears. They were 5-7 a year ago, FCS opponent. Then Liberty hits the road week 2 at Jacksonville State.
There you go.
Now, tough early test. They also have a new coaching staff, a lot of turnover on that roster as well. So a lot of unknowns in that game. Yep. Maybe best to get them early as opposed 100%. To late. 100%. Then Liberty hits the road at Bowling Green. Now we remember Bowling Green a couple of years ago. Yep. Liberty played really well against them here. They were 7-6, made a bowl game a year ago. So they're trending up a little bit. Yep. We'll see what they look like. The biggest game of the calendar is on the 20th of September. Here, Williams Stadium, hosting JMU. I mean, the fan bases, the rivalry. These teams, they haven't seen each other in...
It's been a while.
Was it the playoff game?
Has it been that long?
Was it the FCS playoff game?
I mean, I was at that game.
Was that 2014? So it's been a while, but there's no love lost.
This one's going to be fantastic.
So that'll be fantastic. With JMU 9-4 last year and beat Western Kentucky in a bowl game. Yeah. So that's going to be huge.
JMU is going to be, they're going to be athletic. They're going to be well coached. Liberty's going to be athletic. They're going to be well coached. Yep. You're going to see 2 in-state football programs that are only an hour and a half away from each other, probably fighting over a lot of the same players from a recruiting standpoint. So that is undoubtedly should be a packed house at Williams Stadium for that game, and I'm be fired up to watch.
And I think too, there's a little extra motivation on the Liberty side, knowing that JMU's getting a Buc-ee's, and they just don't you feel like
Buc-ee's coming?
There's got a Buc-ee's. It's being built right now.
You're kidding?
Right outside Harrisonburg, yeah.
But wow.
So don't you feel like that puts a little extra chip on the shoulder of the Flames? Like what? We can't get a Buc-ee's?
Yeah, I mean, why not put a Buc-ee's?
Why not
in Amherst?
Right. Okay, we don't need to go. After JMU, Liberty stays in the...
If we play there, I'll get you a T-shirt.
I appreciate that. You're a great guy like that. I'd wear it. And I'd wear
Unlike
it.
Somebody
Unlike
else.
some people, I would wear it.
You got Emily a Buc-ee's shirt. And
never seen it again. She's using it to clean the grill. On the 27th of September, Liberty stays in the Commonwealth. They go to ODU. They were 5-7 a year ago. Ricky Ronnie's still the head coach down there. He's been there for a while. And then we start getting back into conference play. You start the midweek stuff.
Now the midweek madness starts.
A Wednesday game on the 8th of October at UTEP. Then a quick turnaround home Tuesday game against New Mexico State on the 14th.
Man, that's tough.
So that's a quick turnaround there for those midweeks. The beauty of it, Liberty only has 2 midweek games and only 1 home midweek game.
Oh.
As much as I know the national TV audience and all that stuff is nice, it's hard to get people in the stands on a Tuesday, Wednesday, as opposed to a Saturday. Yeah. So I think everybody's a fan of just the 1 midweek game at home for the Flames this year. Then you go the two newcomers. You get on the 1st of November, home against Delaware. The 8th of November, home against Missouri State.
The Blue Hens.
The Blue Hens. Joe Flacco attended there, a famous alum. And then you go at FIU the 15th of November, at Louisiana Tech the 22nd, and home to close it out the Saturday after Thanksgiving against Kennesaw State on the 29th. Who you don't play is maybe as interesting as who you do play. You do not play Sam Houston.
Ooh.
You do not play Western Kentucky.
Ooh, that's
you do
true.
not play Middle Tennessee in the regular season. So the three that you do not get in conference, which is let's just say this. This is not going to rank as one of the most difficult schedules in the country.
Yeah.
And the fact that you don't play Western Kentucky or Sam Houston, two teams that, although Sam Houston has a new head coach this year, two teams that were certainly on the upswing, programs that are at the, you'd say, in the top half of the conference. Not getting them doesn't make it any more difficult. I mean, you get both the Delaware and Missouri State both moving up to FBS. You get both of those teams and you get them at home. So Liberty will be favored a lot on this schedule.
That Sam Houston team?
Yeah.
His head coach, Phil Longo now.
That's right.
Phil Longo is a really good football coach, and he was there when they were making their FCS runs.
Oh, yeah.
Like he was at Sam Houston.
Was he coming? I think Wisconsin last week.
He came from Carolina. He's at Carolina, so that's how I knew him. He was Drake May's coach at Carolina. And then he went to Wisconsin. Now he's a head coach at Sam Houston. And they also got a transfer in, Elijah Green, who is very good. I know a lot about him.
Okay.
So that Sam Houston team is going to be, especially offensively, they're going to be good.
Yeah.
They're going to be really good.
I think they'll be good. Another team I think will be better is UTEP as well.
UTEP's going to be better.
They got the 5-star quarterback. They have been at USC, went to Boise, and now he's at UTEP.
Who was the coach at? Which team was it? There was a coach that would go nuts on the
Scotty
side.
Walden at UTEP.
Yes, that's UTEP, right?
Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah.
That dude's wide open.
So we go at UTEP. Last year for UTEP in the conference is 2025, and then they're moving on to the Mountain West.
The dangerous part of that schedule is October 8th and October 14th.
Yeah.
We're traveling all the way out to UTEP for a road game.
Yeah.
And then having to fly back. Like you got to win that game. Then you got to fly back and turn around on the Wednesday. And
Wednesday to Tuesday.
Wednesday, that game, Tuesday.
Yeah.
On a short turnaround after a long flight, and then playing New Mexico State.
Here's the interesting part about that.
Joke.
For those two games, you have a bye on either side.
Yeah.
So you get the bye after ODU, you get the bye after New Mexico State. So you get like 2 games in a 34-day span or whatever. It's interesting. There was 6 teams in Conference USA, and because of the midweek stuff, this is what throws this all out of whack. But 6 teams have a bye, 1 game, and a bye again.
Oh,
I think that's brutal.
Yeah,
I think if you're a coach, you hate that.
I don't like it.
Like that much time off, but 6 teams have 1 game between their 2 byes. So Liberty having 2 in between, better off than most of the conference is. But one other note on this, and I saw a lot of folks on social media and stuff breaking this down, and one national writer I was looking at was saying, Liberty has the easiest schedule in Conference USA. Liberty is the only team in the league that doesn't play a Power 4 opponent. So you get that JMU game, which obviously is huge, and especially in this region, but the only one without a Power 4 opponent. So that's kind of interesting as well. But I'll say this.
That's not going to help for your playoff bid if you go undefeated.
Right. It doesn't help the strength of schedule argument that has been made against Liberty before. I feel like the second half of this schedule is very gettable. You go after that UTEP game, New Mexico State at home, which we saw what they were, and then Delaware, right, moving up.
Yeah, Missouri State moving up.
FIU, new staff down there, but they've not been great. Louisiana Tech, they were better last year, but still a team you feel pretty good about. And then Kennesaw State, again, at home, which I know what happened last year, but, new staff there as well. But I think the second half of that schedule is very gettable. If you can find a way to get past your Jacksonville States, Jack State, Bowling Green, JMU, that stretch, that's the dangerous portion, I feel like, of this schedule. If you can find a way to navigate that, you feel like from there on.
I mean, even add Old Dominion in there because you got to go to Old Dominion. They're going to be good.
Yeah. So first half definitely tougher than the second half.
You got to get back to basics. You got to get back to basics, and the basics are let's eat the elephant one bite at a time, and that is get back to the Conference USA Championship.
Yeah.
Wipe last season off. Let's get back in the CUSA Championship. and have an opportunity to win the conference first, and then
don't worry about that. You can't worry about that other stuff.
You can't worry about that stuff. And let's get to a good bowl game and not have 47.
I actually had flashbacks watching the Super Bowl last night to the Bahamas Bowl. I thought I was like, the way the Chiefs were not moving the football, it was kind of like, oof, I feel like I've seen this game before. Yeah, it was rough. Spring ball starts today or this week for the Flames. So Thursday, I know Jamie Chadwell is supposed to address the media, so we'll hear from him. But huge spring. We see the schedule now. We see what's in front of us, and we say, you got to get back to do. But we don't even know who's going to be leading this team, right?
That's the favorite part. What was our favorite part going into Coach Chadwell's first season? That was who's going to be the quarterback?
Right.
Was it going to be Jonathan Bennett? Was it going to be Caden Salter? Now it's really a grab bag.
Wide open.
It's wide open. Who's the guy going to be?
Yeah.
Who's getting the reps through spring practice? Who steps out in front of the crowd? Who's going to be the guy? Who's the leader?
And it's not just
bring the locker room together.
Yeah. And it's that
These are questions that got to be answered.
And beyond.
Oh, way beyond.
It's all across the board. On the offensive side especially, it's like, okay, so we got Aaron Fenimore at center, and what else?
Yeah, does Bill Durkin have his bootstraps buckled up?
Oh, you know he's got it.
That's what I want to know.
You know Dirk's ready.
I mean, is he pulling up the waistband?
Yeah.
And getting some height with that thing so we get some guys out there and compete.
You know he's ready to go.
But go soft on me, Dirk, and I don't need it right now.
We'll be checking in at spring ball. We'll see what's going on over there. And
clip that off and send it to
I'll
Dirk.
Send that to Dirk.
He'll love that.
Let's say you look at this schedule and you're like, man, I would love to come to those games. Like JMU, New Mexico State. Maybe I should just move to Lynchburg and find a home.
Yeah, why not? That's
Can
easy.
you help with that?
That's easy. That's easy. All you got to do, go to alcova.com/Liberty, and you get a Liberty Flame faculty, staff, alumni, get up to 1% credit towards lender credit towards their closing costs up to $5,000. That's real money.
Real money in your pocket.
That's real money back in your pocket. Yeah. So you need $20,000 at closing? No, you don't need 20. You'd only need potentially 15.
Yeah.
Right? So it's real money back in your pocket. alcova.com/Liberty. Go there. We'll make great things happen.
You save that money. You turn around, you spend it on season tickets for Liberty football. You're set.
You know what else? We're bringing back?
What's that?
And we texted about this.
We did.
We need to bring it back.
Okay.
I went back and watched some of our old bits from Yacht Talk bits.
Yeah.
Right, that we did. Those were outstanding.
We used to do.
And we did a lot of giveaways.
We used to do social media videos. You and I.
We're gonna start doing that again.
I still have that polo wadded up in the back of my trunk, so I'm ready. I'm ready.
Ready to roll. And we did a lot of giveaways.
We did.
Like so club seat giveaways. Yeah. We're bringing that back.
Bring it back.
We're doing giveaways.
There you go. You heard it here first.
The club level Alcova Mortgage club level ticket giveaways.
Okay.
Coming back 2025.
There you go. So you've got that to look forward to.
We might even open it up against Maine.
We might. We should just start selling seats with us in the booth for the games we go.
That's actually not a bad idea.
Can we do that? I don't know if we can do that. We'll look into it. All right, let's get into some hoops. Liberty. They play at home. We said you got to get these two. Louisiana Tech, Sam Houston. Got to protect home court. Dominant against Louisiana Tech on Thursday. Best game they played in conference all season.
100%.
Just the offense, it came easy. They held Daniel Bacho down, who's the best big man in this conference, shut him down.
Yeah, Bacho did nothing.
Liberty,
he's good.
He is good.
Yeah,
Liberty 12 of 23 from three-point range in that ball game. So that was an impressive win. Again, they made it look easy. They ran away from Louisiana Tech. Then you bring in the worst team in the conference, record-wise, Sam Houston, who had just lost back-to-back overtime games, a team that was maybe desperate at this point, and it took everything Liberty had to win that one 64-61. It was a battle. Here's what I will say. Caden Matheny, friend of the show, 26 points in that game.
He's a friend of the show.
I was seeing some Caden Matheny slander out there on social media after he struggled at Jack State, struggled against Louisiana Tech. Some people like, I don't know if he's he goes for 26
Slow your roll.
And did literally everything for the Flames in that game when it was a struggle. Taylor Peter was in foul trouble. He was kind of a non-factor. Matheny goes for 26 points and just carried this group. He is, without a doubt, for me, when he's right, one of the most entertaining players that I've seen here at Liberty. Obviously, you got the Darius McGee's and stuff. Yeah. But when you watch him, as hard as he works in a ball game, it is an incredible thing to watch.
Yeah, how he moves without the ball, for one. And then the level of, it's so important, especially in the game of basketball, the level of intensity that he brings out on the court is infectious.
Yeah.
And so when he gets rolling, and then when he's already working hard, right? Yeah. He's working like crazy on both ends of the court. But then when his shot starts falling, that's the energy right there. And so, like, for them to make a run against, this is a really good conference. And for them to make a run in this thing, him playing well could be the key. I mean, obviously there's other pieces of the puzzle, but him playing well is the key component.
After the Louisiana Tech game, I was just on the court talking with Naz and some other guys, and we were saying how that game was gold because not just you win, but 28 minutes is all Colin Porter or Zach Cleveland had to play. 30 minutes was all Matheny and Moffmer had to play. Like, you don't get those kind of games in this league where you can limit those guys and kind of hold them back. I don't know if they beat Sam Houston 2 nights later.
If those guys
aren't able to get that rest, because Porter goes for 39 minutes against Sam Houston. Like, you needed every bit of everything in that game. And if you aren't able to save a few minutes here, just get them a little bit of a break against Louisiana Tech, I don't know if you get that one.
See, my thing is this in basketball, right? Yeah. Basketball is different because everybody touches the ball, right? Yeah. And so what you see, I think, what I've noticed in basketball is what you see is you'll have teams that look good at the beginning of the season, right? But how much they continue to progress as the year goes on. And then you have other teams that, like Liberty, that bring in transfers, bring in new players, and then because everybody's touching the ball, there's so much continuity and gelling that has to happen, is that just you have really good coaching and you got guys that get together and get along. They start understanding the system. As the minutes and games increase and you play more and more, you start seeing things come together, right? Where it's like, you don't have to, my point is, you don't have to press the panic button early in basketball, especially because teams peak at the right time. And sometimes that happens later in the season. And when I watched that Louisiana Tech game, I was like, now you're starting to see the pieces of the puzzle come together through games and practice and work, where this team is starting to work and gel the way that they need to. And with the guys coming off the bench too. So once again, that decreases the minutes, and you can win a Louisiana Tech game, but then you have fresher players when you maybe have to grind it out for more minutes. So I just feel like watching those two games, you feel more confident in how this team is starting to gel and come together at the right time. I think they're only going to continue to get better as we move into the end of the season and into the postseason.
Yeah, and you talk about some of those guys off the bench. We've been tracking these numbers for a while now in conference play. The bench production from guys not named Taylon Peter, right? In Liberty's 4 conference losses, those guys have scored 0 points. They average 1.5 points per game in those losses. In the wins, they average 6.5 points per game. And we saw on Saturday night, who was it? Gabriel McKay, a 3 and the foul, a 4-point play. Those were the only points off the bench from not Taylon Peter, and Liberty wins by 3. And that's just enough. And that's what it takes. And it is. The margins are slim. You need just a little bit from those guys. But it seems like, and the numbers kind of bear that out, when you're able to get just a little, it doesn't have to be a lot from those guys, that oftentimes has been the difference.
But here's the thing, is that as the season goes on and you practice more and those guys get to play more, I think what happens within a coaching staff is they start to, if they can perform, they start to trust those guys more. And as they trust them more, that's going to build their confidence. And when their confidence builds, they're going to hit more shots and make more. But whether that's on the offense or the defensive side of the court. And so I think what you're starting to see with the Liberty team is, and this is what you really hope for, exactly what you're saying. We're getting just enough, whether that's a play here or a play there, just enough from the bench, right? But I think what you're going to start to see is just enough is going to start turning into a little bit more and a little bit more. And that's where it's like timing. You know, everybody knows for the tournament, like timing is everything. And I think when you're looking at the time schedule that Liberty's on and they're getting weren't getting much. The 4 losses, no points. Now you're getting just enough.
Yeah.
Then that turns into, oh, we just got a little bit more. And then all of a sudden you get into the tournament, you're like, oh, we're getting some good solid minutes out of these dudes and some points out of these dudes. That's how you win championships right there. And the team is headed in that direction.
Well, and I assume it was the same for you in football. I think about that, when I play baseball, like when you know you're going to be in the lineup every day, there's a confidence that goes with that.
Right.
For these guys, a Xander Yates, Gabriel McKay, when you know I'm getting these minutes.
Yeah, your numbers getting called.
I know I'm going to be playing. There's a confidence and a freedom where, okay, I can just go make plays and not worry that, boy, if something happens, I may not play for 2 or 3 games.
Right.
Like there's a freedom and a confidence that comes with knowing my role is defined, it's set, I'm going to get this opportunity night in and night out that allows you to be your best player.
Yeah. And then the other thing too is, like, when you're a coach, all you do is pull this up.
Yeah.
And you go, hey guys, when our losses, look at our bench production.
Yeah.
Right. So you're worried about minutes and all that other stuff. When you guys don't perform, we don't win.
Yeah.
Right. When we get just a little bit from you, then we win basketball games. So that you can't. I mean, you can point right to that in itself and say that bench is extremely important for this basketball team to win a championship. So that right there in itself, whether it's 1 minute or 10 minutes in a game, is enough motivation.
So Liberty now tied for second, 7-4 in Conference USA, a couple of games behind Jack State, tied for second with Middle Tennessee. Flames are going to hit the road next 2 games. They go at New Mexico State Thursday night.
That's a long trip.
At UTEP. So they hit that West Coast swing.
West Coast swing.
New Mexico State's really struggled since Liberty beat them here. Remember, they were in first place when they came to Lynchburg. I think they've lost 4 or 5 or 5 or 6 since then. So that's the one. If I'm Liberty, you got to come away with at least a split.
I don't like you talking about splits all the time.
I know.
You're always talking about these splits. I addressed this on the mountain of Montana.
You did. We showed that.
We don't want it. We don't want to split. Let's go on the road and win 2 ball games.
Of the 2, I think that's the one that's most likely. UTEP's been a tough matchup for the Flames, and that quick turnaround. I heard one coach say on Saturday, I think it was Nick McDevitt from Middle Tennessee, that the record, like home teams on Thursday are like slightly above 500. Home teams on the Saturday are like, their record's like 20-4 or something like that. It's that if you're staying home, it's that travel, that quick travel.
I see what you're saying.
You're traveling Thursday to Saturday, like Liberty will be doing from New Mexico State to UTEP.
Yeah.
Like that.
And that's how the schedule's set up.
Yeah, and that's how the schedule's set up. So the home teams are dominant on the second, day of second half of that. Quickly, we're gonna get to some other stuff. I want to go to our mailbag. We actually had a great mailbag this week.
Every time
appreciate.
I smile, they turn around and make you smile. Mailbag.
Thank you. flamescentral@liberty.edu. Send us any questions that you may have. Let's start with one from Jacob.
That's Blue's Clues, by the way.
Okay, yeah.
From Blue's Clues.
You've told me that. I've never seen it. Yeah. Jacob says, I'm wondering if Joe is ever going to run the mile like he promised. We're all wondering that. Jacob, that's something that comes up quite often.
It does come up.
But
I can address it.
Listen, he wants to help.
Yeah.
He said, if you're worried about running it alone,
okay.
The university's running club brings in a professional timing company and puts on a time trial each November that includes the mile. So he said, if you start training now, you'd have plenty of time to get in shape, and then they would time it as part of that event in November. So you've got time.
Is this on the track or are we running in the woods? That sounds
no,
like
I think it's on. It must be on the track.
It's on the track?
Yeah, I'm guessing it's the track. November.
Jacob, is that right?
Yeah,
Jacob.
Yeah.
The kid is no spring chicken anymore. Okay.
November seems a long way away.
November's long, but that's fine.
You're just taking one day. Every day above ground's a good day right now.
Listen. No, I'm working on some things right now. But I started. This is about behind the scenes.
Oh.
I started doing a little training for the mile.
Oh, really?
I did. I started.
Okay.
Okay. When I started, I had a little Achilles injury. Right? So I had a little Achilles injury. So I went to the Good Feet store. Right?
Yes.
And they're not even a sponsor of Flight Central Podcast.
They're not.
But we're going to mention them just because they helped Joe Yock out.
Okay.
And so Joe Yock's Achilles is now just recent.
Better?
I mean, I missed 3/4 or more of the pickleball season.
I mean, you look great on the slopes.
I did look good on slopes.
Yeah.
But that doesn't put a lot of stress on the kids. But no, my Achilles is back now.
Okay.
Okay. And so now
get back into the swing of things.
Potentially.
Okay, yeah.
I might have to lose a couple pounds.
Yeah, well, the running will help with that, actually. It's funny how those two things go hand in hand.
Well,
it's not like after I lose a couple of pounds, I'll start running. No, if you do, it kind of works together.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah. But you know what helps with more?
What's that?
The fork.
Well, put the fork down.
You run and then you gotta control the fork.
Gotta put the fork
down. Yes, could it happen? We're gonna make it happen.
Okay, all right. We heard it here first. Interesting. We had 2 different entries to the mailbag. Different people, like 3 or 4 days apart, that asked essentially the same questions, which is cool. Doug, not our Doug, but Doug and Kent both asked, first off, any of the transfers to Liberty basketball from a lower level, do they get the benefit of the Diego Pavia rule? Remember, Diego Pavia
that's a great question.
Sued the NCAA or whatever to get back the time he spent at junior college. And the answer is no for now. I was doing some digging on this morning and read an article that said basically the NCAA, they're appealing the ruling that is allowing Diego Pavia to play, which that ruling, by the way, just applies to him. And the NCAA is also giving a waiver to some seniors for this year who played JUCO. So it's kind of a gray area. They've given some waivers to allow them because I think they don't want to get in trouble if their appeal doesn't go through. But for now, it's just some guys. Like I saw, for instance, like a week ago or 2 weeks ago, some kid transferred to Tennessee for baseball who wasn't supposed to be allowed to play at the Division I level for another year, but he's basically going off of this Pavia ruling and somehow got a waiver. So I suppose it is possible. Anything is possible, it seems like right now in the NCAA. But as of now, there's no clarity as to if like an Owen Aquino, for example, who came from the JUCO ranks, if that means he has more than just next year left in his career, could he try to get waiver beyond? I suppose he could, but he won't have that clarity right now.
Javon Marv came from Cedarville, right?
Division II, yeah.
Yeah, so that's what he's talking about.
So that could potentially.
So there's 2 on the roster?
And Taylon Peter as well came from the Division II ranks. So
there's 3. So there's 3.
And then the JUCO is Owen Aquino.
Yeah.
So
total of 3.
So
right?
Again,
he's right. That's a lot. I mean,
that's a lot.
That's a game changer.
I suppose if they wanted to, they could try to probably do like Pavia did and file some sort of suit and see if they could get a waiver. I haven't heard anything on that, but it is kind of a murky area. In fact, the article I was reading saying it's really frustrating for a lot of coaches right now who are trying to figure out, who Pavia, do I have? Who's my guy?
I don't know if they should give Pavia another year. You know why? Because he's ruined enough people's seasons.
That's true. That's true.
I mean, that guy is off.
I know Hugh Freeze said he firmly sided with the NCAA in not wanting to give him another
Pavia.
Year. No more Pavia. So we'll see what happens.
Virginia Tech last year was full hype preseason.
Yeah.
Come Riley Gay against Vanderbilt.
That pretty quick.
No more Pavia.
Yeah, no more Pavia. And then the last question we had, which was an interesting one as well. This one comes from Lewis, I believe it was. He wants to know, he says, someone smarter than me needs to do the research and figure this out. Taylon Peters' shooting percentage on his first attempt of the game. Seems like he comes in every game and hits a 3 immediately. It's almost too easy. You know what else is almost too easy, he says? Saving money on your new home with Alcova Mortgage. You're welcome, Joe, he says. So there you go.
Guy.
He got your bid in there for you.
That is my kind of guy.
So someone smarter, may or not. I looked it up. To see what
Matt Warren, you give Matt Warren a challenge like that,
this could be our number that matters.
Consider it done.
Right. In conference play, Taylon Peter on first shot attempts is 8 of 11 from the field, 73%. So, Lewis, you're on the right track.
Good job, Lewis.
It certainly does seem like and the numbers bear it out. That first shot that he gets, he's been on the money more often than not. So 73% of the time.
That's a really good pickup by Lewis.
It is.
Like somebody to see that and start thinking like, dude, this dude hits every shot the first game. Like I'm gonna go to to put that in the mailbag.
Yeah,
that's good job, Lewis.
If you have any questions for the mailbag, flamecentral@liberty.edu.
You might get a coffee mug.
Once we get that order in. Also, as I mentioned earlier, let us know where you watch the show, how you listen to the show. You'll be entered into our drawing for mugs in that as well. Okay, a couple of things to wrap it up. Women's basketball, they lost by 1 on the road to Louisiana Tech. stomped Sam Houston. So they're in second place right now, a game back of Middle Tennessee.
Men and women's both sitting in second place in Conference USA.
Both sitting in second place. Women 9-2. They're home this week. New Mexico State Thursday, UTEP Saturday. Snow, ice in between somewhere thereabouts. So
they're talking like 6 inches.
I know, it could be a lot. So we got to figure that out.
6-inch ribbon curls.
Gonna have to work around
6
You're just going to be hitting the slope. Are you done hitting the slopes now that you did your Montana trip, or does that make you want to go ski even more?
No, I'm going to do more.
Okay.
If we get 6 inches of snow,
you're out of here.
I'm going to be on an absolute shred fest.
Okay. All right. A couple other quick notes before we go. Baseball starts up this weekend. They're supposed to play Friday, Saturday, Sunday here in Lynchburg against St. John's. So get out there, check that out. Hopefully the weather cooperates. Yeah. We'll have broadcasts on Friday, Sunday.
Are you doing
as of now? I'm doing the Sunday game.
Nice.
I think I'm calling that one with Nick Pierce. So we'll have that game on Sunday.
And then Alan does the other ones?
I think so. Yeah. It's kind of in flux. But,
nice.
I mean, we know, if you know as much as I do about this team right now, we've got to dive in this week.
Yeah, you got to dive in.
The starting lineup, like Tanner Marsh at shortstop, Camden Troyer in the outfield. Rest of that, it's just you're learning, guys. It's all new. So Coach LaCroix turning that roster over. If you want to follow along with the team, learn more about them, we put out a piece this past week. We're going to be doing a series throughout the season called Inside the Park, kind of like our In the Fire pieces for football, where we're following the team throughout the season and kind of telling the inside story of the program. So the first one of those went out last week on the baseball social media pages, so you can check that out.
You know what I like to watch?
What's that?
I like to watch the little pre-game hits you and Naz do.
Oh, do you like?
Yeah, those are good.
Appreciate that.
Yeah,
well,
I like those.
You know, when we don't get to call the games, we feel like we still want to be involved,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, a little pre-game hit.
Yeah,
I like that. You'll explain like, oh, here's what's about to come. Here's what you need to look for. I like that. It's good.
Well, we could do that for football.
We can do it.
But Joe always kind of, let me just tell you this.
No, don't you take a shot at me.
Joe always like rolls. It's like, okay, we're on in 10, 9. That's kind of when Joe rolls in, does just one of these at a time, and goes. He's kind of like that.
I'm sort of like the golf course. I get out of the car, throw the bag on my shoulder. Where's the first tee? What's the course record?
Joe's wearing his Tom Brady watch. He's
I'm
all
getting
that
a Tom
stuff.
Brady knockoff watch for $50.
By the way, Tom Brady, Joe's better. Joe's better. I'll say it. Like that Super Bowl, I've heard him throughout the year, and he's been okay up and down. Like it was bad. Here's one more thing on that before we go on.
You can't say that.
One more thing I'll say about that. Here's what I hate, just as a broadcaster, fan, whatever. I hate when I feel like the broadcasters are trying so hard to sell hope. Or they're just trying to keep you watching. It was 34-0. And they go,
was it really 34?
And they go, I tell you though, Mahomes, CB has a little magic left, but this Vic Fangio defense is pretty good. I'm like, it's 34-0 in the third quarter. Yeah, it's pretty good. We've all been watching. What are you doing?
That sounds like a bitter Chiefs fan.
At some point, as a broadcaster, I feel like you have to be honest and be like, listen, this is a brutal game.
Yeah.
You just have to, everyone knows. Stop trying to sell the whoa, never count them out. It's over. We all know that. You sound like you don't know.
That's at that point when you go to my favorite segment in our broadcast, and that is Matt Warner's tidbits.
Right. You just start emptying the notebook.
You start emptying the notebook, throwing out the tidbits.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't try to be like, oh, you never know. Field goal here, and it's a 4-possession game. Like, come on.
Billy Smith's great grandfather stormed the speeches of Normandy back in.
Bring it all out at that point.
Bring it all out at that
That's when you do it. Yeah. Okay, last thing, softball off to a great start. Dot Richardson has the girls rolling. A walk-off win in their opener to beat Radford, and then they go on to beat Louisville, Cleveland State, and Rutgers twice. Remember, Liberty ranked 20th in the country, so off to a 5-0 start.
Yeah, that's going to go up.
Their next game, Wednesday against UCF. That'll be a tough contest. And then they start a tournament over the weekend where they face, Auburn, Missouri, Alabama, so the competition really ratchets up in that tournament.
UCF I would think they'd be really good at
They are good. They're 5-1.
I mean, if I was a girl softball player,
Florida,
go to Central Florida. I mean, come on.
Hotbed. Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, you'd think they'd be a good program. So the competition ratcheting up, but we've talked about how softball over the years has sometimes stumbled out of the gate because of tough competition. Yeah. Off to a hot start here so far. So that's it. All I got, Joe. Anything else?
I'm trying to think.
Should we just try FaceTime Emily randomly just to see if she'll pick up, or is that a dangerous move?
That could be dangerous.
Okay, we'll steer clear of that. We'll steer clear of that. Supposedly, she'll be back next week.
She's concerned about the weather, right?
She may stay another week just because of the snow and ice coming in. So we will see. I don't know.
Hey, do we mention that my daughter did we mention that?
We mentioned it on the show last week when you were here. Your daughter got engaged.
Gracie
That's why
and Drew got engaged, and big wedding June 28th.
There you go.
In Montana.
So make your plans now.
Everybody show up. Everybody's invited.
If you have a mug, if you have a Flames Central mug, that's all you need to get in.
You got an invitation.
Just show the mug.
Show the invitation at the door.
Yeah, that's all you need. That's all you need.
Get in here, you big one.
Wouldn't that be incredible? We've got listeners in Idaho.
What would Deanie
We might have some in Montana.
What would my wife do to me if people started?
Wouldn't that be incredible?
Incredible.
I'd say,
you know what I'd do? I'd say, get in here.
Yeah, get in. Yeah, that's right.
Come on.
That's right. If you're listening in Montana, we want to hear from you. We'll get you out there. If you're listening in Montana, I want to make this happen. That would be incredible.
Incredible.
Picture with the bride with the mug.
Yeah, with the mug.
That would be
some random dude.
Your wife would not want it. Yeah, absolutely. All right, hey, thanks so much for watching this week.
Hey, you know what? It's the Flames. It's Central. Right. It's in Central Virginia,
yes,
right? And it's a podcast. It's the Flames Central podcast. Powered by Alcova Mortgage, because it's almost
too easy. Thanks for watching. See you next week.